Thank you, Kevin. You have 1 minute to respond. And again, the question is on the tax itself. And I'm going to ask you also to particularly respond to what do you believe is the appropriate rate?
Well, the appropriate rate that we had passed in our legislation was 7.5%. That's what the general breakdown came down to. And one of the very critical things that we were doing, too, was taxing at the wellhead. Instead of allowing the gas industry to determine how much tax they were going to pay by waiting for the market to fluctuate and selling it and paying tax when it's down, is unfair to all of us as Pennsylvanians. Because one thing we do as Pennsylvanians is we already pay a severance tax. We pay a severance tax to every other state that has Marcellus Shale and that severs natural gas from the earth. So we're already paying that bill. The other thing I wanted to mention, I'm glad my opponent has changed his mind, because in May, he felt that, and I'll refer to a Scranton Times article, that Mr. LaPaula said he does not support the gas severance tax because he feels drilling companies are already paying enough. I strongly disagree with that statement.
Thank you. We're going to stay on the issue of Marcellus Shale, and I want to address it specifically from an environmental perspective. Given the opportunities and dangers inherent in natural gas drilling from Marcellus Shale, how will you go about making decisions that will provide maximum protection to the environment and public health while capitalizing on the economic potential of this natural resource? And Mike, the first response goes to you.
Thank you. I want to address that Times Tribune article there. I did oppose the severance tax because they wanted everything to go back to Harrisburg. It had our legislators sold us on the severance tax that it was supposed to be an environmental stewardship of those areas affected by the drilling. 2% of that, after they took their huge chunk to go back to the black hole of Harrisburg, was to go to the environment. Absolutely, I'm against that severance tax. 80% of that money should go back to the environment, back to those areas affected by the drilling. I am for green technology in the gas drilling industry. I believe in double casing through the watershed. I believe in pumping the fracking fluid back out. I believe in flaring, so there's no waste. And I think those are the major concerns that we have in the gas drilling industry. If you talk to the majority of the people affected by this drilling, severance tax is not the key issue that they're addressing. They want regulation. We haven't had updated regulation in Harrisburg on gas drilling since 1984. So why they put the severance tax ahead of regulation is beyond me. So we need to have regulation first before we impose a severance tax. And that's why I made that comment about not approving of a severance tax. We need regulation first to make sure our land is taken care of by the DEP and the gas drilling industry. High standards need to be in place before we do that. As a scout, we always believe in leaving the area better than when we came to it. And I firmly believe that with the high restrictions that we have on the gas drilling industry through regulation, we can impose that on them and making sure that it's safe to the environment and safe to everyone involved.
Thank you. Kevin, the same question to you.
Well, I do appreciate my opponent changing his mind on the severance tax for Marcellus Shale. But once again, in this article, it clearly indicates that the reason that he was not in favor of the severance tax is because he feels drilling companies are already paying enough. It had nothing to do with taxes, how much tax is going to the local municipalities, how much tax is going to the state government. Because the legislation that we passed in our severance tax recently, 60% of the money goes to the local host municipalities for infrastructure repairs, to help out their community, for economic development. We're already putting that there. 40% is going to the general fund, not 80%. There was never any scenario where 100% would go to the general fund. So I have to clear the air in that regard, because it's just you have to know the facts, and you have to have the numbers correct. But I would say I do agree with them. We've gone way too far. We should have made sure that there was regulation, there was oversight before we issued the first permit. It's easier here in Pennsylvania to get, and it's faster, to get a driver's license or to get a permit to drill for natural gas here in Pennsylvania than it is to get a learner's permit. You can get an expedited permit to drill for natural gas here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in 15 days. It takes at least 30 days to get a learner's permit. Obviously, something's very, very wrong. We have to make sure we put our environment first. We never should have went for the quick grasp at the cash because of the current economic situation that we face here in the Commonwealth. You have to proceed with caution. When you're talking about your environment and the future of Pennsylvania, you have to be very, very careful. We need to have more oversight. We have to hire more people within DEP to make sure that these gas companies are doing the right thing, because it's my contention that if you don't have that strong oversight and they're left to their own devices, they're just going to look at the bottom line and making money at the expense of the average taxpayer here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. It's
Thank
not
you.
right.
Thanks, Kevin. Mike, you have 1 minute to rebut if you so choose.
I never said 100% of that money should go back to the communities. And you did, at a recent article in the Times Tribune, agree with the severance tax that 80% of the money should go back to Harrisburg. And we got to make it clear, if you want me to know about the facts, that Harrisburg gets the first $75 million of that gas drilling severance tax. And then after that, it's broken down by percentage to where it goes. And environment is the last part of the process that gets the money. So if you think that's environmental stewardship, and I beg to differ with you, I really do. And we also make it clear that the gas drilling companies do pay bonds. They are fixing the roads up there. They are spending money on top of that. So to say that they're not doing anything like that up there is wrong. I do know the facts, and those are the facts.
Thank you. As much as I would like to continue the discussion on Marcellus Shale and the environment, unfortunately, we only have 20 minutes left, so we're
Okay,
going to
fair
move
enough.
on to the topic of education. And I'm going to start with a speed round on education. So what I'm going to do is ask you 4 questions. We'll alternate back and forth, and Kevin, you'll answer all of these questions first. And I'm asking specifically for a yes, no, support, oppose, nothing more. The next question, you'll be able to expand on your answers, but we want the answers first, yes or no to these. So, pertaining to education, Kevin, the first question, should the cost for charter schools to school districts be the same across the Commonwealth? Yes or no?
No.
Mike?
Yes.
The next question, Kevin, is 36% of the cost of educating a student enough of a share from the state?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
The next question, Kevin, do you support merit pay for teachers?
Yes.
Mike?
No, I don't.
And the last question in this round, is property tax the best way to fund elementary and secondary public education? Kevin?
Currently, yes.
And Mike?
Say that question again?
Is property tax the best way to fund elementary and secondary public education?